Hi, my name is Bryant. I'm a consultant at Red Hat, which is a company known for its open source project contributions, but also its hugely popular enterprise Linux. I'm also opensource.com correspondent, which means I regularly write for opensource.com, which is Red Hat's sponsored blog, but also a moderator sometimes for opensource.com. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic called JavaScript frameworks based on open source license. So what is a JavaScript framework? To understand that, we have to understand JavaScript first and how it came about. So let's go deeper dive into that. Once upon a time, JavaScript was seen as an ugly programming language that does not adhere to some of the best programming practices such as type system, type conversion, proper scoping, etc. But the real drawback of JavaScript back then was its limited usage as a client-side programming language in the web. Well, it was the only client-side programming language at the time. So a company like Google created a programming language called Dart to remove JavaScript as a de facto client-side web programming language. But that attempt was somewhat unsuccessful. However, programming languages like Dart, TypeScript, CoffeeScript still linger as a useful programming languages that transcompiles into JavaScript even now. But it was not till the invention of NodeJS. No one could probably predict that JavaScript community would become so huge. A genius programmer named Dahl combined Google Chrome's browser's V8 JavaScript engine, event loop, and low-level input-output API to invent a server-side JavaScript called NodeJS. With that discovery, developer community experienced exponential growth of JavaScript libraries, tools, and frameworks. JavaScript came a long way, and we have to thank Lion for the creation of NodeJS to experience such an explosive growth of JavaScript. Companies like Netflix clearly saw the benefit of NodeJS, so they decided to leverage it. But Node.js is a very basic vanilla application server, and what the developer community desired next was a framework to support advanced web application features and structures. For example, to design a single-page application-based website, web framework is almost essential. Thus, many open-source enthusiasts foresaw this trend, and among them include the developers from Google and Facebook. Since about a decade ago, JavaScript developer community noticed the fierce battles emerging among JavaScript frameworks, and this article will introduce some of the most well-known ones. And it should be good to know that they're all open source JavaScript project, meaning that you can freely utilize this for your project and even contribute to the source code. ReactJS was invented by Facebook and is clearly the leader among JavaScript frameworks today, though it was invented after Angular. How did React become so popular? React started by offering a concept called Virtual DOM, which is an abstract copy where the developers can only take advantage of ReactJS features that they want to use without rewriting the entire project to work within the framework. In addition, the active open source community with the React project definitely has been the workhorse behind the growth. Here are some key strengths of React. Reasonable learning curve. React developer can easily create the React component without rewriting the entire code in JavaScript. Highly optimized for performance. React Virtual DOM implementation and other features boost the performance. Excellent tools supporting React. Redux, Dunk, and Select are some of the best tools supporting React ecosystem. One-way data binding, less dependent on side effect. Who is using React? Since Facebook invented the framework, the company itself heavily utilized React for its Facebook front page, and Instagram is said to be completely based on the ReactJS library. You should be surprised to know that other well-known companies like New York Times, Netflix, Khan Academy, Match.com, and WhatsApp are another example that implement ReactJS in their technology stacks. What should be even more surprising is that Evaluate Jobs hiring ReactJS developers, as you can see the result here from the research done by Stack Overflow. Hey, you can work on the open source project and get a job. That's pretty cool. ReactJS GitHub currently shows over 13,000 commits and 1377 contributors to the open source project, and it is an open source project under MIT license. Okay, so React is maybe now the leader in JavaScript frameworks in terms of number of developers, but Angular closely trails behind React. In fact, while React is a more popular choice among the open source developers and startup companies, I noticed the larger corporations tend to prefer Angular over React. Here are some key strengths of Angular. Widely used at corporations, Angular's structured approach is generally welcomed by many larger-sized corporations. Well-designed command line interface. Angular has an excellent command line interface tools to easily bootstrap and to develop with Angular. One-way data binding. Same as React, one-way data binding model makes the frameworks to be less susceptible to the unwanted side effect. Great support for TypeScript. Angular has an excellent alignment with the TypeScript, which is popular transpile to JavaScript language. Well-known websites like YouTube, Netflix, Lego, IBM, Walmart, and Vivo all implemented Angular into their applications. I myself also started the front-end JavaScript development with Angular by self-teaching myself on the subject. I've been worked on quite a few personal projects and company projects involving Angular. But there was Angular 1.x, which was called by AngularJS at the time. When Google decided to upgrade the version to 2.0, Google completely revamped the framework. And the version 2.0 was not AngularJS 2.0, it just became Angular. New Angular was the complete transformation of the previous AngularJS, and that drove off some existing developers while bringing new developers. Angular GitHub page shows 17,781 commits and 1,133 contributors at the time of this writing. Oh, it is also an open source project with MIT license, so you can feel free to use it for your project or to contribute it. Vue.js is a very interesting framework. That framework is quite a newcomer to the JavaScript framework, but the popularity insanely increased over the course of a few years. Vue.js was created by Evan You, former software engineer who has worked on Angular project. The framework got so popular and many front-end engineers now prefer Vue.js over other JavaScript frameworks. Chart here shows how fast the framework got traction over time. So what are key strengths of Vue.js? Here are some of them. Easy learning curve. Even compared to Angular React, many front-end developers feel that Vue.js has lowest learning curve. Small size. Vue.js has relatively lightweight compared to Angular or React. Concise documentation. Vue has a decent but concise and clear documentation. However, you should notice that the current interest by Vue.js is mostly originating from the Asian countries like China and South Korea. Thus, most of the documentation was written in Chinese, and Vue.js is mostly consists of inexperienced developers and limited support for enterprise level. Vue.js GitHub shows 3,099 commits and 239 contributors. Not so bad, but notice that it is still relatively smaller compared to Angular and ReactJS. Meteor.js is a free and open source isomorphic framework, which means just like NodeJS, runs both client and server-side JavaScript. This is in a sense Meteor.js more of as a full-fledged framework compared to Angular, React, or Vue. In fact, Meteor can be used in conjunction with any other popular framework like Angular, React, Vue, Svelte, etc. Meteor is used by several corporations such as Qualcomm, Mazda, IKEA, and many applications like Dispatch and Rocket.chat. Some of the key features of Meteor include the following. Data on the wire. Server sends the data, not HTML, and the client renders it. develop everything in JavaScript. Client-side application server, web page, and mobile interface can be all designed with the JavaScript. Support the most major frameworks. Angular, React, and Vue can be all combined with the Meteor to use in conjunction. As of now, Meteor GitHub has 22,804 commits and 428 contributors. That's quite a lot for open source activities. Ember.js is open source JavaScript framework based on model view, view model, MVVM pattern. If you never heard about Ember.js, you're in for quite a surprise to find out how many companies are using Ember. Apple Music, Square, Discourse, Groupon, LinkedIn, Twitch, Nordstrom, and Chipotle all leverage Ember.js as one of their technology stacks. Although Ember has similar benefits as other previous frameworks, here are some unique differentiators about Ember. Convention over configuration. Ember standardized naming convention and automatically generate the result code. Fully fledged templating mechanism. Ember relies on straight text manipulation, building the HTML document dynamically while knowing nothing about DOM. Works well with the larger application ecosystem. As one can expect from a framework used by many applications, Ember GitHub pages shows 19,808 commits and 785 contributors. That's quite huge. Knockout.js is a standalone open source JavaScript framework adopting model view, view model, MVVM pattern with the template. Although fewer people might heard about framework compared to Angular, React, or Vue, the project is still quite active among the developer community and leverage the features such as the query binding, automatic UI refresh, dependency tracking templating. Knockout.js GitHub page shows about 1,766 commits and 81 contributors. Those numbers are not quite huge compared to previous frameworks, but the project still actively maintained. BackboneJS is a lightweight JavaScript framework with a RESTful JSON interface and is based on Model View Presenter MVP design paradigm. The framework is safe to use by Airbnb, Foursquare, Hulu, SoundCloud, and Trello. BackboneJS has the following notable features. BackboneJS library is pretty simple enough and lightweight. Soft dependency with jQuery and hard dependency with _JS. BackboneJS GitHub page shows 3,386 commits and 289 contributors. Spelky is an open source JavaScript framework that generates code to manipulate DOM instead of including framework references. This process of converting app into JavaScript at build time rather than runtime might give a slight boost over the performance in some scenarios. Spelky GitHub page shows 5,729 commits and 296 contributors at the time of this writing. Last one in the list is Aurelia. Aurelia is a front-end JavaScript framework that is a collection of modern JavaScript modules. Aurelia has the following interesting features. Renders fast. Aurelia claims that its framework can render faster than any other framework today. Unidirectional data flow. Aurelia uses an observable-based finding system that pushes the data from the model to the view. Build it with the vanilla JavaScript. You can build a component with the plain JavaScript. Aurelia GitHub page shows 788 commits and 986 contributors as of this writing. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel to see other videos related to technologies, open source, and many other things.